Now here on Midori House, Studio 2, I'm joined by beer sommelier Peter Hayden. How do you become a beer sommelier?
You have to drink a lot of beer over a course of very many years, and then you present a body of work to the Institute of Brewing and Distilling, and if they think you know what you're talking about, they tell you can call yourself a beer sommelier.
Well, if you go to a nice restaurant, it takes a bit of guts still to order beer instead of wine.
It's a cultural thing because in this country, beer has historically been seen as a more sort of industrial product and wine as a more sophisticated product. That's been the perception. It didn't used to be that way. Historically in this country, beer was our national drink. All classes drank it, everyone drank it, and everyone thought that beer was part of our national identity. We lost that, and it would be great if we could rediscover that again. And the last 100 years or so ago, there has been this erroneous, in my view, idea that wine is a more sophisticated product. It's a different product. It has a different spectrum of tastes and flavours associated with it, but that doesn't mean it's better.
So if we talk about, say, spicy food, what works together with it, what doesn't?
Okay, well, let me give you a very, very classic example. In Britain, we go out for a curry, and we tend to drink lager with our curry. That's what is culturally done. But it's absolutely crazy because anything hotter than a plain poppadom is going to destroy any flavour that a lager is able to provide, because lager is a very light and delicate drink. Anything with any spice is just going to drown the lager flavour. So you need something that's got a bit of backbone to stand up to any kind of heat or spice. And the backbone in a beer of that kind will come from hop. So you need a hoppy beer to stand up to a spicy food.
What would I have with my daily salad?
Is there rocket in your daily salad?
There is.
Okay, then again, it's got some spice in it. Possibly a wheat beer, I'd have thought, with something like that. It's got a little bit of an edge to it that'll complement without overpowering something like a bitter leaf salad.
What about beer and cheese?
Beer and cheese is the great combination. Beer and cheese is where you can really have fun.
The reason why I'm asking is very obvious, because you are here with a cheese plate.
We've got some to try. But this is where sort of being a sommelier is great fun, because you can take people on a voyage of discovery here, because it's very easy to arrange beer and cheese together.
Should we try something then?
Yeah.
I don't want to keep the cheese waiting.
Right. The cheese isn't going to go anywhere other than in one direction, which is, I think, in your mouth and mine. Right, we've got 3 cheeses, 3 beers. I think what we'll do is we'll start with a wheat beer, which I'm going to match with a Gruyere-style cheese. This one is called Glebe Brethren, but Comté is probably the better known archetype of the style, and is probably, well, Comté is one of the is the king of cheeses in many respects anyway. A respectable medium-aged Gruyere will do for the purposes of this exercise. So now this is very much the champagne of beers, in as much as it's the most complex in terms of its profile of aromas and flavours. It's the hardest to brew, because the principal flavour component in a wheat beer, in a German-style wheat beer, is the yeast, and the yeast is alive. And therefore, if you're a brewer, you're trying to have a dialogue with one of the ingredients, which has got a mind of its own. So the German brewers have an expression, Weissbier, Scheissbier.
Yeah, let's not translate that.
That's not because they don't like it. It's because, as brewers, they have to tear their hair out to get the yeast to do what it wants. The characteristic aromas and flavours on Bavarian wheat beer will be banana, toffee, bubblegum, clove, a bit of white pepper, and a lot of people will be familiar with it if they go to a bar and someone tries to put a slice of lemon into their drink. That'll be something that happens in wheat beer. If anyone ever tries to put lemon in your wheat beer, kick them somewhere where it hurts. It's not the right thing to do. The lemon does go very well with it, but we're going to try it with some cheese. And as I say, with this Gruyere style, it's not just about a flavour thing, it's about a mouthfeel and texture thing. So the way to taste beer and cheese together is have a nibble of the cheese, taste the cheese, that's very good. And swallow the cheese. Now have a sip of the beer. Right, you've tasted the beer. You've got a conception of them both. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to taste them both together in our mouth at the same time. So nibble the cheese, sip the beer, and you need to use your tongue to push the paste of the cheese around your mouth with the beer. And you can see how the effervescence in the beer changes the texture of the cheese. It opens it out all around your mouth, and it becomes a much more intense taste sensation.
Indeed.
Yep. Sorry, I'm enjoying the moment too much. There's a slight citrus character on the beer that's complementing the slightly nutty character of the Gruyere, which is very characteristic of these sort of Alpine cheeses. And what it does, I think, is it sort of brings out the slightly buttery side of the cheese, which you don't really get when you're just tasting the cheese by itself.
This is indeed something different. Very nice.
Right. The next one is a slightly more obvious pairing. So we've got some very mature Isle of Mull cheddar, which we're going to match with, meantime, London Pale Ale. Now, this is quite a hoppy beer with lots of New World hop in. Just as with wine, we talk about New World and Old World wines, and New World wines tend to be fruitier and more full-bodied, bigger in the glass. So New World hops, and particularly American hops, are exactly the same. They tend to be more citrus, more in your face than traditional English or German hop characters. Again, I think the Pale Ale just brings out the slight bitter character of the cheese, and it takes it all around your mouth. It gives it it adds to the linger of the cheese as well. I think that I can taste the cheese in my mouth for longer than I would do if I hadn't had the beer as well.
Absolutely. Very nice indeed.
And this is a good example of complementary flavours. The bitterness of the hop and the bitterness of the cheese lift each other rather than clashing with each other. They reinforce each other and draw your attention to both. But yeah, you can make mistakes. You can get things that really don't go together. But then you've tried it, you've learnt.
Do you think bars, restaurants are actually realising that they could start offering these combos together, cheers and beer,
It would be nice for more bars and restaurants to do this, because I think it's something that most people haven't had an opportunity to try. It's very simple to do. Anywhere that's got a decent cheese board, you should be able to do this with no difficulty at all. Like I say, and it's huge fun for people. It really, in a way that it's difficult to do in other settings, quite so simply, is just give people an opportunity in a very short space of time to try a variety of combinations and see how they work together.
Absolutely. Shall we try the third cheese you brought with you?
Final one is a combination that most people will find a little bit left field. We're going to try a chocolate porter with a chèvre-style goat's cheese.
That sounds very exotic.
Yeah, and most people will probably be listening to this and going, what? Yeah, I don't think I get this. But it is rather unexpected. And I must say, the first time I tried this was sort of at a tasting where a number of pairings were being considered, and this one came along almost accidentally. And everyone just went, wow. Chocolate and goat's cheese. Now, this is going to illustrate what I said about the texture in the mouth very well. Nice soft goat's cheese. If you move the paste of the cheese around your mouth with the beer, you get a definite wow factor. And a nice, slightly yogurty edge on the cheese already. It's characteristic of a good chèvre. And when you try it with the beer, you get a milkshake. It's like a goat's cheese cake in your mouth with chocolate flavour. What do you think?
I do like it, which I'm rather surprised by. I have to say it sounded very suspicious.
But it works, doesn't it?
It works.
It absolutely does.
Milkshake.
Yeah. And if you want to impress your friends at the next dinner party you're having, pop out and get some chocolate porter, some goat's cheese, and look at the surprised and excited faces around the table. A moment of silent reflection.
I think there would be so much to talk about when it comes to matching cheese and the right beer. It's been really amazing already. Thank you very much for visiting
My pleasure.
the menu and Midori House.
Thank you very much.